So the next thing is, where does an author get their ideas? Well, they can only get their ideas from their passion, their experiences, and their influences. So I'm now going to talk about those that influenced me. So I'm just going to be sure I've got the right page here. And in the front of the book, there's actually a dedication to my, well, it's in memory, to my two wonderful mentors, Pat Maguire and Eve Old. Now, both these people had so much passion for their craft. All they wanted was the best for their pupils. They wanted to see them reach their potential. And they do everything they could to make sure you get there. Now, sometimes that doesn't prove very popular, because a great mentor has to push you past your comfort zones, and that can be quite confronting. So some people hate it. But I always got the feeling that they were doing the best for me, and I followed through, and it always got me where I wanted to go. So I'm going to talk about them individually. First of all, I met Pat. As Paul said, I was really shy, and I was a teenager. And somehow he turned me into a dancer, a teacher, and then even a public speaker, because we were up doing plays, and I could barely get words out to talk to someone. I was the type of girl who, at a party, when I was little, would hide under the table rather than talk to someone. When we were having shows, after the show, we were supposed to be out in the show, the dancers, talking to people in the supper room. I'd sneak out the back and do the dishes, because I just did not know what to say to people. So I was never had that in me, but Pat kept pushing me, and he could see that potential in me. So he showed me what I could do. And then he saw a potential in the writing, so he said, read more, study your writing, you can be really good. So that's what I did. And then when we left the studio, of course I had more time for writing, more time for studying. But as it got to the end of Pat's life, he became really worried, because we'd left the studio and we were always surrounded by tons of people to talk to. We'd moved to an area where we knew nobody. And we were living in this little bubble, just the two of us, for about 2 years. And I was sort of dedicating my time to him. And he was really worried, because what was I going to do when I actually was on my own? So I sat down with him and I said, I promise you, Pat, that I will take this book and I will take it and I will treat it like my baby and I will nurture it until it gets published. And then I'll do the whole series. Because I felt that this book had his type of energy. He wanted to get to people and actually inspire people. And I wanted to do this in this bigger media of writing. And now it's fantastic. You've got social media that can actually spread the word even further. So when I told Pat that, he was actually really happy. And he seemed to relax. He passed away 3 days later. But he was peaceful at that time. So I'm so grateful for what he gave me. And I couldn't have done it without him. So I hope he's up there watching, and he's actually proud of my achievement, and I'm sure he is. And so that was Pat. Not long after Pat passed, I met my writing teacher, Eve Old. I fitted right into her group straight away, because she just had that same energy as Pat, the same perfectionism, the same everything, the same push. So I went to that writing class, and I felt reasonably confident, because I'd done writing courses and workshops, and I thought, well, yeah, well, I'm all right. And I went and I thought, oh my God, I'm a complete novice. And Eve taught me all these nuances of writing that you just didn't learn at all these other courses. But again, she pushed me to my limits. She'd had me reading things that never in a million years would I read, but she said, there's a point to this, read it. And so I would read it. And quite often I'd write a piece and think, I've got it now, I've got it, I know how to write. I give it to her and I come back with all these lovely red scrawls all over it, and I think, oh my God, I'm never going to be an author. I can't do it. But she knew the next step you needed to go to. So then when I finished this book, I was petrified to give it to Eve, because I thought, my God, she's going to have me rewrite the whole thing again. And she wasn't really well at the time, so I thought, well, it's going to take her a while to read it, because she was on these double doses of chemo and as experimental, and she really wasn't doing well. And I thought, God, I'm going to have to wait for so long because it's so hard for her. She finished it in 2 days. And she rang me up and she said, I love it and I'm so proud of you. And that was such a compliment coming from her. So then she said, would you like me to do the first edit? And I thought, oh, well, I don't want to put you out because I know you're not well. Oh, no, I insist. So I think it took about 11 days and she came back and she trotted up my front steps and she had the manuscript in her hand and I could see all the wonderful little red scrolls that I was used to. But by then I was happy to have that because it gave you the feedback you needed. But there was something different about Eve. She was actually glowing and I said, how are you going? And she said, I feel the best I've felt for so long. She said, doing this made me feel so useful and at this time I feel so frustratingly useless. And she said, I feel good. And I knew I could feel that she actually made her feel worthwhile. And when I was walking down the hallway and I had the manuscript in my hand, I thought, gee, it's like as if the Argon Project has already begun its journey. It's already started this positive energy through Eve. And it was so, I felt so humbled that I could be part of that. Sadly, Eve passed away in December. But I will forever be grateful for what she gave me. And I'll thank you to Ken, her husband over here, who's here to while I honour her tonight. Thank you, Ken.